Welcome to the 2022 Coaching the Coaches virtual clinic. We're here at Zone Sports Academy, a 28,000 square foot facility, and we have some really great stuff for you coaches. Right alongside of me, Steve Nicorak, his brother Mike Nicorak, and we're going to show you all different aspects of what it takes to take on the title of coach. Coach Steve, what do we got in store today for the coaches?
Yeah, this is a day we look forward to every single year. Our plan for you guys is any mom and dad taking on the title of coach for the first time, that we can equip you guys and prepare you to just go into the season with some confidence and try to make the most of a successful year. We're going to go through everything from A to Z. So how to run a dynamic warm-up, how to run a base running circuit. Coach Duke's going to take us through a bunch of infield drills. I'm going to take us through just basic catching the ball as well as some outfield drills. Going to go right into a hitting circuit and how to incorporate hitting and different stations into your practice plan. And then my brother Mike is going to finish with pitching, and I'll let him talk a little bit about the stuff he's going to cover today.
We're going to cover things like how to grip the baseball. We're going to cover things like how to get ready for a game. And then also probably the most important thing is what can you do to incorporate your pitcher into that everyday practice? Because we know sometimes it gets tough to get those pitchers mixed in. So we're going to go over a couple tips and tricks that you can do to get that pitcher some extra work during practice.
So as you can see, we brought the energy today. So hopefully you're at home watching. Make sure you have your sneakers on, grab a glove, grab a notebook and a pen, take notes, go through the drills with us, because we're going to have a lot of fun. So this is our 18th year of running coaching clinics. And the reason why we do this is to equip you as coaches to not only make the season fun for the players, but also make the season fun for you as well. So we applaud everyone for taking on the title of coach. And we know how hard it is when taking on the title of coach. The last time we ran a coaches clinic, half of the coaches, when we said raise your hand if you've never played the game before, half of the coaches put their hands up. And we were just like, wait, half of you never played baseball before? And they said no, they never played. So when we look at the stats, 3 million kids play baseball every year. 73% of them quit by the age of 13. Why is that? And the survey said because they're not having fun. They're not having fun because the coaches aren't equipped with how to run a fun practice, how to add competitions in, how to organize and structure a fun and efficient way to play the game. So those are some of the elements that we are going to help supply you with as coaches. So one of the things we're going to talk about is kids learn one of three ways. They learn by hearing, seeing, and doing. And we all know when it comes to talking and hearing, hey Johnny, make sure you do this. It goes in one ear and out the other. The other way is seeing. And so many times, if you have coaches that have never played, they don't know how to throw a baseball. They don't know how to show how to field the ground ball. So when you have a coach and he's demonstrating how to throw like this, and he wonders why little Mikey throws like this, and you're like, no, I want you to throw like this. Well, he's seeing what you're doing, and he's demonstrating exactly the same thing. So that's why I said, coaches, make sure you're in your living rooms or wherever you are, and you have your glove on, a tennis ball, and you're going through the drills. And the third way is by feeling. That's why we're going to show you the drills. You're going to do the drills. Because when you're trying to show somebody something new, you want them to actually be able to do it. So when Coach Steve and Coach Mikey are showing throwing drills, we want you to actually be wherever you are and work on that so you can see what you look like, feel what the drill is. And that's what we're going to give. We're going to supply you with so many drills. That way, when it comes to fielding, there's not just one way to field. We're going to show you a bunch of fielding drills. We're going to show you a bunch of fixes when it comes to throwing and pitching. Coach Steve is going to show you a bunch of ways to fix those mechanical flaws that we see all the time when it comes to hitting. So we're going to have a blast. You might be wondering, why in the world are we wearing name tags? So let's start from scratch. Let's start from the beginning. First of all, we don't know these players at all. So why not put on a name tag? Coach Duke, Coach Steve, Coach Mikey, Nikki, Jonathan, Alex. And you can see that we're on a baseball knee. What is a baseball knee? We have our foot down, we have our knee down and we're talking at the same level as our players. So I can talk to Alex, or if Mikey's picking the grass, I can say, Mikey, let's go. Concentrate and see and listen to what we're talking about. You can address them by name. The kids love that. And they can also address you by name. That's why you have this. There's nothing worse than being in week 7 and Alex is like, I don't even know who my coach is, or you don't even know who David is. So you're yelling out to kids on the field and you don't even know what their names are. After you do this for a couple weeks, you're gonna know every single kid's name. They're gonna know all the coaches' names. And that's really important as far as communicating. So we wanna make sure that we communicate and we have a plan. And I'm gonna show you what I mean by a plan. We have right here a practice plan. And it has everything that we're gonna be going over, from the time, what are the drills, who are the coaches, what space are they gonna use? Because when you go to the field, you wanna make sure you are prepared and ready for practice. You don't want, and I know sometimes we try to wing it. We get out of work late, all of a sudden we get into the car, we go down there and it's like, we throw the bucket of balls out and it's time for practice. Coaches, that's a no-no. It might happen once a year, but that can't be an all the time thing, or you're gonna have kids firing balls all over the place and it's gonna be chaos. So make sure that you have a plan. The next thing that you wanna make sure is you always wanna make sure that you are communicating to them, with them. You're not just yelling and screaming and hollering. A player always remembers his favorite coach. I remember when I was 9 years old and we won the championship. I remember going out and getting ice cream with the team. We went to Polar Cup. I know all the details. I don't know if we had a winning or losing season. I don't even know. But I do remember going out to ice cream. And I also remember my most dreadful coach. And that's when I was 13 years old, and I don't know what that was like. So you want to make sure you're that guy that has fun. Make sure that it's enjoyable. And like Coach Steve always says, you're not going to be remembered by your wins and losses. It's how many kids come sign up for the next season. If all your kids are coming back because they love the game, you did a great job coaching. Not, well, we won 6 championships and blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, next year, no kids are coming back. Well, we want to make sure it's fun, and that's what this clinic is all about. So, Coach Steve, where are we going to start and what's it going to look like?
Yeah, so you guys will see as we go around the field today, we're going to have stations set up. We're really big on creating small stations with a limited number of players just to keep the focus level there, keep the standing around to a minimum. But just like Duke mentioned about the practice plan, you guys are volunteers. We get to do this for a living and coach baseball and softball. You guys are working full-time jobs. You're volunteer parents that are, spending your time, your free time, coaching youth baseball and softball. So one, we applaud you for that, but also do your best to create any sort of a practice plan. Okay, our job as coaches is practice time is for us and the game is for them. So when they get to practice, if we have a plan and we have stations set up, practice is gonna fly by like that. But we've all been to practices before where there's one coach standing at home plate, he's trying to hit a fungo, he's trying to hit a pop fly, and you've got 11 kids standing in one spot. One kid's playing, 11 kids are watching, and now practice starts to become boring. It starts to drag. So again, the best thing you can do, communicate with your assistant coaches, create practice plans, 10, 15-minute stations at most. Keep those kids moving. They're going to get a lot of reps. It's going to be in a controlled environment. You can break the kids up by ability level or by skill level, and you're going to start to see the kids progress that much quicker. All right. Another topic we're going to cover today is, that skill level piece and making sure that we don't just send the kids down the left field line to get loose. The last thing you want is the best player on your team firing a ball across to the kid that's not that good. He gets hit in the head. We're never going to be able to bring him back for the rest of the season. He's going to be afraid of the ball from that first practice until the last game. So breaking them up by skill level, ability level, and tailoring those drills to those specific groups of players, I think you're going to see a big increase in the performance and the confidence of the kid throughout the season. So you'll see there's going to be a ton of stations. Take our stations today, create your own practice plans, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Jot it down on a piece of paper. You're going to get to practice, and things are going to run a lot smoother than looking at each other before practice and saying, man, what should we do today? So I think that last piece by Duke about creating those efficient and effective practice plans are the most crucial part to running a good season or running a good team throughout the season. But don't forget, practice time is our time as coaches, and then when the kids get out there to play the game, that's their time to go out and have fun. And the last piece I'll add is during games, I love having a little note card on me. And what I do is I'll take notes throughout the game. All right, we need to work on cuts and relays. We need to work on pop fly communication. We need to learn how to, dive for a ball. Well, those are 3 things that we can cover in practice that upcoming week, and my practice plan is done. As opposed to getting out of work on Wednesday, we have an hour and a half practice, and now I'm trying to figure out what we're going to do at practice on my 15-minute drive to the field. So, be as prepared as you can. Again, we understand you guys are volunteers. You don't have the time to be creating these in-depth practice plans like we do, but a little bit of extra effort, I think, is going to go a long way in making sure you guys have a great season.
And I know we've been talking a lot about the X's and O's and the actual practices, but baseball to us is much more than just a 5-ounce ball with 108 stitches. This is a game of failure. The kids are going to swing and miss. The kids are going to start, you're going to see kids crying. You're going to see happy moments, sad moments, wins, losses. You're not just a coach. You're going to be a therapist, and you're going to have to talk about them mentally. Kids are going to be throwing stuff. So you have a big job ahead of you, and taking on the title of coach, we're with you every step of the way. Let's get into it, fellas. Let's go.
Do it.
So guys, biggest thing with a warm-up, especially for the younger players, just get their blood flowing, all right? Don't send them down the line to play catch. We'll get into that in a little while. Don't just throw them down the line and assume that they're going to know how to warm up on their own. So get down the line, pick out 5 or 6 of your favorite drills, and just have them get a quick sweat going. So for Quinn right here, we're just going to have him demonstrate. He's going to be our demo guy for the day. We'll just have him line up on the line right here. We'll just go to the pitcher's mound. We'll do high knees first. Go. Getting some blood flowing. On the way back, he's going to do butt kicks. Go ahead. And you guys can, if you have 12 kids, have 6 lines of 2 guys. And try to get them to do it, in a straight line, look the part every day. And you can even assign a player to lead the stretch each day to kind of get them used to communicating and get them comfortable, talking in front of their teammates. This time we'll go side shuffle. So Quinn will face left field, side shuffle to the pitcher's mound, and shuffle back. Go ahead. Same thing going back, shuffle back. Now we'll do karaoke. So he'll face the same direction. He's going to go left foot over. Okay, we'll do slow motion first. Go ahead. Then step with the right, left foot behind. Okay, you can start speeding it up. Same thing going back. Perfect, and we'll just do 2 more for the purpose of time. We'll face the wall. We're going to get our shoulders forward, and we're going to go backwards run. So we're really going to reach back when we go. Go ahead. Shoulders forward, backwards run. Reach, reach, reach. Perfect, same thing coming back. Go. Awesome, so again, there's no right or wrong way to do it, but assign your players to be in charge of it once they get used to the kind of the layout. But 5-10 minutes, get their blood flowing, especially before they start playing catch, and you guys will be in good shape. We're gonna head out to shortstop now. We're gonna go through some ground balls.
The first thing we're going to work on is we're just going to talk about fielding. We're going to talk about the proper fielding position, but we're going to talk about how to get into the proper fielding position. But also, what do we do prior to actually fielding the ground ball or catching the ball? So we're going to take Quinn and we're going to talk about the pre-pitch positioning or the prep step. That's how we get ready before and as the ball's getting delivered to the plate. So we want to make sure that we are not on our heels. This is one of the positions that we were taught when we were little. They said this was the best position to be in. Well, this is not really that good of a position. Okay, it looks like we're ready, but the weight's on our heels and we're not ready to move. So what we want to do is almost like think of ourselves like you watch a tennis player. They're getting ready to return a serve that's 114, 120 miles an hour. They're on their balls of their feet. They're getting side to side, and as the ball's being struck by the tennis racket, they're hopping so that they can then move into either direction that they want to go through. So what we're going to do with Quinn right here, we're going to get into the ready position, we're going to get ready, and I'm going to take a ball. I'm going to toss it up. Right when it hits my glove, Quinn's going to be landing his feet onto the ground. So he's going to watch the flow of the ball, and as it's going up, once it lands, he's then going to hop. So watch, here we go, ready, boom. He's in his position, he's watching the baseball. I can keep on talking, and he's just watching one thing. He's watching the ball. 114 pitches a game. This happens 114 times a game. Most errors are made when kids aren't paying attention, the ball's hit, they hear the ball hit the bat, and then they're reacting. So we have to make sure for 114 times our players are doing this all game long. So that's the pre-pitch position. That's a great way to get all 12 of your kids, have them locked in on making sure that when the ball's in the air, they're all hopping. So that's the pre-pitch position. Now we're gonna talk about the fielding position, okay? One of the easiest ways to teach this is we wanna put our elbows on our knees. So if we put our elbows on our knees, this kind of makes sure that our butt's out and our body is down, okay? We're gonna take our hands and we're gonna dart them out in front of us. We had a good question the other day. Does anybody use the alligator anymore? Do people still do the alligator? Some guys didn't even know what the alligator was. What the alligator is when this hand is directly on top, like you're chomping down like an alligator's mouth. This is what the alligator move is. We used to teach this for years because it was the easiest thing to get the players to understand. Alligator mouth, put the lid on the pot, one hand over top, chomp down on the ball, eat the ball. An easy way for a younger ball player to understand how to catch the ball with two hands. A more advanced way to do it is, it's like 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock. If you were to take your arm and kind of relax it, this is what would happen. My thumb would be more in 11 o'clock motion, and my arm is a little bit in this position, so I'm a little bit staggered in this direction here. So that's where we're actually gonna field, but there's nothing wrong with teaching the younger guys what the alligator is, because their gloves down. Now, if you actually get into this position and you watch me, my muscles are getting tense when I'm in this position. I can't move that well and I'm getting stuck, okay? Once I go like this, it makes it that much easier to field and it's an easier move. So that's what the alligator is. There's nothing wrong with teaching that. And then guys are just gonna kind of tilt over into the other way. So that's the fielding position. What we're gonna do is, we're actually gonna walk over to the balls and we're gonna do this straight line. We'll do the straight line drill first. So we talked about how to field it, how to get into our position. Let's go, Quinn. So we're gonna go from standing up in our relaxed position. Once I clap my hands, Quinn's gonna go right down into the position. Ready, we're up, we're nice and relaxed, and ready, we're up, we're nice and relaxed, and you can do this with your entire team. Have them all get into a semicircle. Make sure they're getting into a good position to start with. Okay, a lot of times with the younger guys, an easy way is to draw and create a triangle. They call it the triangle because my feet are the base of the triangle and my glove goes on the tip. This is gonna almost force the alligator position. We wanna take where our shoulder is and draw a straight line so it's inside our left knee, our gloves relaxed. So that's where that other position, that more advanced position, we're gonna be. So it's more left eye. That's where we ultimately wanna field the baseball, because that way it's much easier to fire my body and get myself going towards first base. So
we hear a lot of coaches say charge the ball, but charge the ball to a little kid might mean sprint right at it. All right, so we got a couple drills here to demonstrate what charging the ball means and what kind of moving towards the baseball means, baseball or softball, and trying to get as much momentum going towards first base as possible, okay? Because we never want to stop our feet as infielders. So we call this drill just the line drill. I have a line drawn in between these three cones here. And all we're going to do is I'm going to have Quinn set up. If you guys want to go right in front here, you might get a better angle. But we want to have Quinn start with the cones and the balls right between his feet. So now, as he's charging the ball, most players, when they hear charge the ball, they'll sprint right at the ball and they'll stop when they field it. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to stay on the right side of the line until we field it. So in super slow motion, I'm in my ready position, my gloves relaxed. I'm going to work up the right side of the line, and as I'm getting ready to field it, I'm going to go right, left, and freeze. Then I'm going to reset. I'm going to work up the line, right, left. We're always trying to time up every ground ball so that we field it, that ball hits our glove as our left foot hits the ground. Okay, you can get 4 or 5 guys, put them in a line, and this gets them to understand how to charge the ball and how to work to the ball to get some momentum going towards first. So he's gonna go nice and slow first. He's gonna work up the line, right, left, field. Next cone, right, left, field. Next one, right, left, field. You'll notice his feet are kind of working in like a circular motion, working towards first base. The next step, whether you're in the dirt or you're on turf, is I draw another set of lines here for the next step. So we go right, left, field, and then the next step is right, left, throw. So in slow motion, it's gonna look like this. Right, left, field, right, left, throw. And my feet always work towards my target. Again, I'm working up the line, right, left, field, right, left, throw. So he's gonna demonstrate it. Right, left, right, left. Perfect. Right, left, right, left. And this is a great drill to do first day of practice to get your guys to understand what it means to charge the ball, what it means for left foot timing, or how to time up that ground ball every time it's hit to us. Once your players understand the line drill and how to really work through the ball, we have the 3-cone drill. We do this one a lot. So me as a coach, I'm gonna have a line of 4 or 5 guys. Quinn's gonna set up right behind the last cone. What Quinn's gonna do, just like that drill there, we're gonna work on getting around the cones, and then as he's working around, I'm gonna roll it and he's gonna freeze when he fields it. Notice again, focusing on that left foot timing. Let's do it again, bud. So he's gonna start in the back. He's gonna work around the cones, right, left, freeze. Perfect. So he's always timing the ball up as the left foot's hitting the ground. Go ahead. Working around, right, left, perfect. Now the next step to this, we would go right, left. He's gonna go right, left field and shuffle towards first base. For the younger guys, we call it hopping on the skateboard, hopping on the surfboard, whatever you're gonna, whatever's gonna stick with them to get their feet and checkpoints lined up at first base. So he's gonna go around it, right, left field, right, left throw, perfect. Same thing, we'll do 2 more. Around the cones, right, left field, right, left, good. Again, he's always using 2 hands and he's fielding it inside his left foot. Right, left field, right, left throw. Good, once your guys get the concept of the drill, you can set up a net and actually have them throw. You can go rapid fire. And again, it's way more productive having 4 or 5 guys doing this drill, 4 or 5 guys doing the line drill, 4 or 5 guys doing the prep step drill or prep step timing drill, 10 minutes each. First day of practice instead of just assuming they're gonna be able to field ground balls and whacking fungos at them on day 1. For a right-handed first baseman, if he's fielding that ball and going towards first base, or he's fielding the ball and getting ready to flip to the pitcher who's covering first base, I would do the exact same thing. A lot of times I tell my first baseman, just get wide and smother the ball. All right, we don't have to get a ton of momentum going towards our target. We don't have to be too pretty. Okay, I tell first baseman, nice and wide. You can field it out in front with 1 hand, you can field it with 2. But for my righties, I would say the same thing. We kind of work around the ball, we go right, left field, and then we might be flipping to that pitcher, covering the bag. For lefties, it's just the opposite. So if I'm a lefty, I'm gonna try to demonstrate this with a righty glove. It would be the same thing, but the opposite direction. So I would work up the left side of the line, I would go left, right field, get the ball out, and then flip it to my pitcher. Perfect. Any other ones? Another drill we love to do, you guys come on over here. For your players that get a little bit more advanced, we love using the paddles. So Quinn's gonna put this paddle on his hand. I think we get these things for like 15 bucks online. They're super cheap, but they're really good at teaching your players how to secure the ball with 2 hands. A lot of times as your players get older, we want to teach them not to catch the ball as infielders, but to stop the ball. All right, so this is a tough one. We're just gonna roll out first. So Quinn's gonna get to his ready position. You're just gonna field it and toss it right back to me. So nice and wide, 2 hands, and he's just gonna pitch it right back. So once your players get used to securing the ball with this, focusing on using 2 hands, you can do double plays with it. You can roll out ground balls and have them throw it to first base, but again, it focuses on that left foot timing and timing it up. When the left foot hits the ground, that ball's hitting the paddle, and they're securing the ball with 2 hands. That's a great one. Another great drill we do, we use cones a lot, guys, just because it kind of gives them a runway or, certain angles to take depending on where the ball's hit. So to practice backhands, I'm gonna have Quinn set up at this front cone right here. And you'll notice I have the cone set up on an angle going deeper. The reason we do that is because that ball that's hit hard to our right or hard to our left, we want to take deeper angles to give ourselves more time to field it. So if I'm playing shortstop and there's a rocket hit to my right, I don't want to just sprint straight across. The deeper I go, the more time I have to field the ball. So just to simulate it in slow motion, we're going to get to our ready position. We're going to prep step. He's going to open up with the right foot, take a deeper angle. And there's really 2 ways to field backhands. The first one, with our feet lined up with first base. I love this one because from the time I field it, my feet are set, and then I push straight through towards first. Are there gonna be times where we field it off our left foot? Absolutely, especially if we're on the run. In that scenario, we'll just field off our left, we'll replace our feet, and get going towards first base. So we'll just work on the first one here. So Quinn, you wanna try to field it inside your right foot. Yep, so he's starting at the front cone. You can back up a little bit. I'm gonna roll it to his backhand. He's gonna get there, set up, shuffle right towards first base. He's gonna open up. Perfect. The idea here, guys, is sprint to the spot. Try to beat the ball there and get those feet set up. Perfect. You'll see a lot of players, get to your backhand position, right over here. You'll see a lot of players, their feet are great, right? His feet right now are lined up with first base. But a lot of infielders, when they go to field the backhand, their glove works in the same direction that their feet are lined up with. But the ball's traveling on this line. So put both feet on that line for me. Perfect. When we feel the backhand get a little bit lower, we want our glove to work back through the same direction that the ball's traveling. We don't want the ball to be traveling in this direction and Quinn's glove to be working that way. There's not much room for error there. So we want our glove, just a slight push, back through the same direction that the ball's traveling. A great way to work on glove work in the beginning of practice is have guys partner up and have them work on tossing the ball back and forth. So what we'll do first, we'll actually go with a bare hand. A lot of young players, when they field ground balls, they tend to scoop underneath the ball and the back of their glove is on the ground. But if I do that, my glove looks like a ramp. All right, so that ball might slide straight up and pop out. What we like to do is take the heel of our hand or our wrist and push it forward just a little bit. So now you'll see the fingers on my glove are hanging straight down. Now I'm able to push back through that short hop a lot better. So for Quinn and I, we're gonna get to a nice athletic position, butts up, chest is down, and we're just gonna use our glove hand right here. And all we're gonna do is work through that routine ground ball and try to push back through the short hop. This is a great progression to do at the beginning of practice. And I love doing bare hand work because if you can do it barehanded, you can definitely do it with your glove. So we'll do 5 in front, and then we're gonna angle to the left. So angle that the other way for me. Now we're gonna work on forehands. So we're just gonna push through nice and soft. Awesome. We wanna try to catch the ball on our fingertips and make sure when your players are doing it, they don't do that. We don't wanna scoop underneath it. We wanna push soft right back through. Good. Nice and soft. Chest is down a little bit lower, Quinn. There we go. Awesome. Last one. And think about burying your head behind your glove when you do this. Now we're gonna switch to backhand. This one's tougher. Think about taking your thumb and your pointer finger below the ball. If your arm's straight, that means you're not low enough. If we're low enough, we're gonna have a little flex in our elbow, and we wanna think about pushing through like our elbow's a hinge, not our shoulder. Okay, so we're down low. Perfect. And we're gonna push back through. Try to bury your head behind your glove. It's all right. So if you miss it, we should miss it right back towards our partner. We shouldn't miss it and do one of these and scoop underneath it. So again, bend from the elbow, use your elbow like it's a hinge, and we're gonna push back through. Once you do 5 of each, then you can get the glove, you can go on both knees, then you can go actually on your feet and do the same drill. But a great warm-up drill to get your guys going. So the first one we're gonna start with, I just call it the windshield wiper drill. Quinn, you're gonna take your glove off. This is for your players, again, we said in the beginning, don't send them down the line and assume that they're gonna be able to play catch. Because if you send them down the line to play catch on day 1 and somebody gets popped in the lip with a ball, it's gonna be really tough to get them back for the rest of the season. So first one we're gonna do, make this a station on day 1. We just call it the windshield wiper drill. Quinn's gonna take his throwing hand and put it right behind his back. He's gonna take his glove hand. You can use baseballs. I would suggest using smush balls or maybe T-balls on day 1. And all he's gonna do is put his hand up like this. We want our players to get comfortable catching the ball in front of their face. Most young players you'll see do this. They flip their hand upside down. It hits the heel of their glove and it gets him in the face. So Quinn's just gonna go hands up and I'm gonna try to toss balls right by his left ear. So he's just gonna go fingers up and he's gonna get used to catching that ball with his fingers to the sky. Again, a lot of your teams, you might have 1 or 2 really solid players, maybe a handful of middle of the pack players and then 2 really bad players. The last thing you want is to have a stud shortstop throwing at a first baseman that doesn't know how to catch. All right, that guy's gonna be afraid to throw the ball. He's gonna be afraid of the ball. So spend the first 3 weeks of practice and focus on these fundamentals and you'd be surprised how quick those bottom tier players start to catch up. So the reason we call it the windshield wiper drill, so I'm tossing all balls to his left ear, but when I toss it across his body to his right shoulder, instead of doing this, we wanna treat our arm like it's a windshield wiper and we wanna cross right in front. So I'm gonna toss it to his right ear now and he's gonna get used to catching that ball. That's all right, here you go, we'll switch to this. He's gonna get used to catching the ball fingers up, arm like a windshield wiper out in front. It's a great drill for the first day of practice. If you have a guy that's petrified of the ball, which is gonna happen, put him on top of a bucket or put him on a cinder block or on a chair. You're gonna hop up here. You need help getting up? You're gonna stand. You're gonna stand on the bucket. You gonna help you up?
Stand on top of it? Oh.
Yep, perfect. So now he can't get out of the way of the ball. A lot of players you'll see, they shy, they step out of the way, they do whatever they can to not let it hit him in the face. So you can put a guy in a bucket, a cinder block, a chair, and now he can't move. So now I'm gonna toss balls right at his face, and he's gonna get used to, and hopefully comfortable after a little while, catching that ball right out in front. Works on hand-eye, again, if you can do it barehanded, you can definitely do it with the glove. You can progress to the glove next, you can progress to throwing baseballs, and before you know it, they're gonna be able to play catch. Any questions? Nothing? Okay, good. Now, grab your glove. We're gonna work on some pop flies. A lot of coaches, you'll hear yell out to their players, use 2 hands. But what does 2 hands mean? A lot of players will get out into the outfield and they'll do this, and they'll squeeze the ball right out. You'd be surprised how many players think that this is using 2 hands, because it is. But we as coaches, we have to teach them, when we catch with 2 hands, we wanna think thumb to thumb, pinky to pinky. So when that ball's up in the air, we wanna go thumb to thumb, pinky to pinky. And just like on ground balls, if it's between our shoulders or between our feet, we wanna use 2 hands. Outside our shoulders or outside our feet, we wanna use 1. So I'm just gonna toss routine pop-ups to Quinn here. He's gonna think thumb to thumb, pinky to pinky, and close it in. So nice and easy. He's gonna work on closing that ball in. He's gonna move his feet a little bit. And this is any ball that's hit right over our head. Thumb to thumb, pinky to pinky. Good. Again, we talk about stations a lot. Have 3 or 4 guys go with a coach, work on catch and pop flies. Have 3 or 4 guys go with a coach and work on the 3-cone drill, and maybe 3 or 4 guys work on the bucket drill. 3 10-minute stations, you're already a half hour into practice, getting a lot more reps than just assuming your guys are gonna be able to take infield, outfield on day 1. We're gonna talk about, this is actually a fun one for your little players. Players don't know how to really move their feet. All right, so we're gonna go no glove here. I think you've done this one before. Yeah. So this is a fun one for your guys that we've all seen it. That pop-up goes in the infield and everybody stands there and looks at each other and the ball falls. So a fun one to get them to understand how to move their feet is take a dodgeball, take no glove here. We're gonna toss the ball up and the players have to run and let the ball hit them on top of the head. It seems stupid, but you'll be surprised how many kids actually start moving and they understand the concept of getting underneath the ball. So I'm just gonna toss one up. He's gotta move his feet. Perfect. It seems funny, but your kids start to have fun, especially in a group of 3 or 4 guys. Move your feet. Perfect. 2 more. Awesome. Last one. Move them. Awesome. So really, as an outfielder, we want to get behind the ball and get in front of it. Or, I'm sorry, get behind it so we're catching the ball in front. So your more advanced players, it could hit them in the chest. You know, you could have them move so that the ball lands right in front of them. But this is a fun one, especially for your rookie level players that don't understand how to move without the ball.
And can we let's get one really good high one with the smush ball. Ready? Get underneath it. Nice job, Coach. What was that? What was that? That's a water balloon, and sometimes you have to have fun with the boys because you never know what happens when they get wet. So always have fun with the boys. Coach Steve, what's next, Coach Steve?
Okay, now we're gonna move on to a little bit of footwork and actually taking angles back on pop flies. So, Quinn's gonna be my demo guy again. What we're gonna do here is I'm gonna have Quinn just get to a nice athletic position. We're gonna work on balls that are hit over his shoulder. So we call it the quarterback drill. You can have guys set up right here. He's gonna open up to the right, go catch a fly ball, and then he's gonna open up to the left and go catch a fly ball. Again, way more controlled than trying to hit fly balls from home plate. So, go. He's gonna open up to his right, run back, catch a pop-up, throw it right back in. And then he's gonna start right in here. And now we're gonna go to the left. Go. Awesome. Good. Next step to this drill, learn this from a good coach and buddy of mine. He actually takes dodgeballs and he puts them in the arms of the players. Because you see a lot of young players, they go back to catch pop flies and that one arm kind of sticks out the whole time. All right, so what we do, pretend you're a running back in the NFL. When we run, we want to treat our glove like it's part of our hand. So we run this way, and then at the last second, that dodgeball is going to fall out before we make the catch. So Quinn's going to put that in his left arm. Think about putting it like right in your elbow. So right in there. So now he's going to run like his glove's part of his hand, and then at the last second, it should fall out. We'll go this way first. Go. Pump those arms. Oh, come back. Think this way, just like you're running. Go. Pump the arms, then reach up, and then it should fall out. Again, if you run for a pop-up, I tell the guys all the time, you're not gonna run nearly as fast running like this as you will like this. Plus, if I'm doing this, my head's bouncing, I'm not very athletic. We're gonna do one more here. He's gonna start to go to the left, go, pump the arms, and then he's gonna reach up and catch it. That's a great one to do at practice. Kids love it. Pretend that they're running backs in the NFL and they gotta go back this way for the ball, not that way. He's gonna work through the hurdles doing high knees. So he's gonna go high knees through the hurdles. Once he gets to the end, he's gonna plant on the left and open up for a backhand catch. As soon as he catches it, I'm then gonna take this Hiko stick and I'm gonna toss it up in the air and yell a color, and he's gotta catch it with his throwing hand. Go. High knees, plant. Perfect, get there. Come back in, red. Awesome, close. It's a fun drill. You can add a competition at practice, you know, last man standing. You can go both sides. High knees down to the left, high knees down to the right. You know, another one we love to do. We'll do one more here. Thank you. We're not gonna use the Hiko sticks this time, but it's incorporating the prep step that we talked about earlier. So what Quinn's gonna do is he's gonna go right, left, and he's gonna bounce over the hurdle. While he's in the air, I'm gonna toss the ball to his left or to his right. So he's reading the ball before his feet hit the ground. As your players get older, we wanna try to time it up so that before their feet hit the ground, that ball's hit and there's no false step. So he's gonna work through, he's gonna go right, left, hop, I'm gonna toss it up, and he's gonna hustle and try to dive for it. But again, try to time it up so when his feet are in the air, come back in, we'll do one more, bud. When his feet are in the air, you toss it. So now he's reading that ball and there's no false step, he's going right away. Right, left, hop, straight back, awesome. The first one we're gonna do is with the bare hand. So Quinn, no glove. And all we're gonna do, you're gonna go on your feet. I'm gonna toss Quinn the ball kind of like right by his left shoulder. He's gonna put his left hand up, but he's not gonna catch it. He's gonna stiff from his forearm through his wrist and his hand, and he's gonna try to deflect the ball from his left hand right into his throwing hand. So I'm gonna toss it to his left shoulder. He's gonna deflect and pop his feet like he's getting ready to throw it back to me. Another great drill to practice in the beginning before you even play catch. He's gonna deflect, good, and pop the feet. Stay nice and low and athletic. Pop the feet, good. This is a good one, because again, as infielders, we never really wanna catch the ball unless it's a backhand. We always wanna stop the ball or deflect it. So once they get comfortable doing that, then we can put the paddle on them, and it's the same drill with the paddle. So I'm gonna toss it kind of right by your left shoulder, deflect, perfect. It's all right, pop those feet. Deflect it, good. Good. Awesome. So that's a good one to practice, in a small environment too. Get some paddles, have them do bare hand work, and just kind of rep it out in the beginning of practice. The last thing I want to show you guys, I drew it up on a whiteboard earlier. We get questions a lot about pop fly communication and who has priority over who. So basically, I drew up this field and I numbered all the positions. You guys can download this online. It's so easy to find. But going around the field, the pitcher's the number 1 position, the catcher's number 2, first base is the 3 position, second base is the 4 position, third base is the 5 position, 6 is shortstop, and then 7, 8, and 9 working across the outfield. So the only exception to this rule is the center fielder, because the center fielder has priority over everybody. But it's real easy for, pop flies in no man's land, okay? So again, if there's a pop fly right here in front of the pitcher's mound, we have 1 and 2. Our catcher is always gonna have priority over the pitcher. We never really wanna let the pitcher catch it. Unless you got a stud athlete on the field, that's the one time you can let them catch it. But our third baseman, being number 5, has priority over number 1. Our first baseman, being number 3, has priority over number 1. So again, we want our corner guys to crash in. If it's right over home plate, obviously we want our catcher to catch it. But using the number system, whichever the higher number is, that's the person that has priority on the field, with the exception of this guy out in center field. So, no man's land, kind of like the Bermuda Triangle out here in short left field. The third baseman might go back, but the shortstop has priority over him. And then the left fielder has priority over both of them, okay? Kind of a pop fly here in the middle of no man's land. The shortstop has priority over the second baseman, but the center fielder has priority over both of them. Same thing over here. No man's land, the first baseman might go back for it, but the second baseman has priority over the first baseman, and the right fielder has priority over both of them. So it's a great way to, draw this up. Get a whiteboard, show your players exactly who's in charge of who when they're out playing defense. Again, with the exception of this center fielder being number 8, they should renumber it so it's 7, 8, 9, but this guy has priority over the entire outfield.
So if you're a first-time coach or you have a first-time pitcher that gets on the mound, the absolute first thing that we need to make sure that we take care of is that player is gripping the baseball correctly. So here at Zone Sports Academy, we have a lot of kids come in, all different ages, that want pitching lessons. And one of the biggest things that I found is when we start playing catch, that ball is spinning in all different ways, right? So the 3 grips that we're going to talk about today are going to be 4-seam fastball, 2-seam fastball, and our changeup grip. So number 1, if we're talking about a righty pitcher, the best way that I like to explain a 4-seam grip is I like to take a backwards C on the baseball and make sure that our fingertips are on top of the lace. Now, the reason we want to do a backwards C is because your middle finger is a little bit longer than your pointer finger. When you're holding a backward C, the lace is a little bit higher on the right side than it is on the left side. Now, by us holding a backward C, that guarantees that both fingertips are going to stay on the lace the entire time when we're throwing the baseball so that we can rip down on it when we release. If you're a lefty, we're going to want to do a normal C. A normal C, that way our middle finger can go ahead and be on the tip of that lace where it's the highest, and our pointer finger can sit down right next to it, making sure both fingertips are on the lace. Going from there, we're going to talk about a two-seam fastball. Now, a really young kid that's just getting into pitching, he's going to hear two-seam, and he's just going to grip the ball, and he's going to throw it, and it's going to spin all different ways. The best way I like to explain it is railroad tracks, right? So you have two laces up and down vertically. I like to tell them, throw your fingertips right on the railroad track, and number one thing above all else is to throw it exactly like you throw your four-seam fastball. I know there's a lot of coaches out there that like to talk about trying to pronate their arm so that they can get some extra movement. We want to make sure that we're commanding the ball above all else. Once the kid gets a little bit older and he has a little bit better feel, you can start talking about trying to manipulate the baseball a little bit out in front. That grip's going to go for righties and lefties on top of the laces. Last is our changeup grip. A changeup is probably the most important pitch in baseball due to the fact that it's going to look just like your fastball, but it's going to be slower. Key point being it is going to be slower. So number one thing I like to talk about is I ask the kid and I ask him, do you throw more four seams or do you throw more two seams? If he's a new player, he's not going to know. If he's a player that's been pitching for a little bit while, he's going to give you an answer, either four-seam or two-seam. If he gives you a four-seam, we're going to talk about a four-seam changeup. If he gives you a two-seam, we're going to talk about a two-seam changeup. The reason being is because we want this pitch to look like our most frequently thrown pitch that we throw when we're pitching. So four-seam grip, the best way I like to explain it is we take the backward C, we have our pointer finger and our middle finger on top of the lace, and we're going to take our middle finger and ring finger and replace those two original four-seam fingers. Our pointer finger and our pinky finger, we're going to now put on the sides of the baseball with our middle finger and our ring finger right on top of where the four-seam fastball would be. Last thing that you want to touch on is thumb placement. Some kids are going to want to put their thumb over here to create that circle changeup. Some kids are going to have no idea where to put their thumb. I'm a big fan of keeping your thumb right underneath the baseball. The reason being is my hand is very centered throughout this baseball right now. If my thumb gets over here, I have a little bit more tendency of cutting the baseball or coming inside of the baseball. If my thumb is way down here, I'm not going to have a solid grip on the baseball. For a two-seam changeup, it's very similar to the four-seam changeup. We're going to start with the railroad tracks that we talked about earlier. We're now going to take our middle finger and our ring finger, and we're going to put those on the railroad track, leaving our pointer finger on the side of the baseball and our pinky finger on the side of the baseball. Same thing, I'm going to put my thumb underneath the baseball, right around where the lace is down here, and above all else, I'm going to throw it just as aggressive as I throw my fastball. Now, we're huge advocates of changeups here at Zone Sports Academy, especially for the younger age, because curveballs are the biggest question that come in here. When you're 9 years old or 10 years old, your body is not fully developed yet to be able to throw a curveball. And also, we don't have a perfect understanding on how our mechanics are as a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old. So really focus on finding the strike zone with the changeup, getting a good feel for the changeup, and then as they get older, you can start introducing an off-speed pitch. For those coaches out there that are coaching the real little guys, T-ball, minor B, minor A, and you notice that their hands are very, very small, all we have to do to all of those grips is add an extra finger. So for our four-seam grip with the backward C, instead of our pointer finger and our middle finger, we're going to go ahead and throw our ring finger on there as well. For our two-seam, now I do like to keep the two fingers on the laces still, so you can keep your pointer finger on the lace, kind of scoot over your middle finger to the middle of the baseball, and then your ring finger on the other lace. For a changeup, it's probably going to be a lot more comfortable for a younger guy to throw a changeup because he's going to feel more comfortable holding that baseball because his hand isn't so big. For an older guy who has longer fingers and bigger hands, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to throw the changeup. If you are working with a kid that's a little bit older, the best progression that you can go for with a changeup is to start in your fingertips. Start in your fingertips with the exact same grip that we talked about before. Throw a couple. You're not going to see a ton of movement just because of the fact that you don't have as much surface area on the baseball. As that player begins to get more comfortable with that, start to push the baseball back in their hands. And what I mean by push it back is, first it starts off on the fingertips, then we push it back to the middle of our fingers, then we push it back all the way to our calluses on the bottom of our fingers. The further you push it back, the more movement you're going to get and the more restriction that your hand's going to have on the baseball. Eventually, they're going to push the ball back too far to the point where they're spiking the ball into the ground or they're launching the ball over the catcher's head. At that point, you know they pushed the ball too far back in their hands, and we want to go back to the last step where we were kind of in the middle of our fingers. The changeup is a very, very big feel pitch, and everybody's different. Mess with your grips, 4-seam changeup, 2-seam changeup, in the fingertips, push back in the hand, and let me know how it goes. All right, guys, here we're going to talk about the top 3 adjustments to keep an eye out for when it comes to youth pitchers. So a lot of youth pitchers that come in here, they may have thrown the ball on the mound multiple times. It might be their first time as a pitcher. We're going to go over, above all else, how to stand on the mound. So when a young kid comes in, maybe age 7, 8, or 9, and they're getting ready to stand on the mound, you're going to see all different types of setups. You're going to see some kids where half of their foot is on the rubber, the other half is on the mound. You're going to see some kids where they stand right on top of the rubber. You're going to see some guys where they stand behind the rubber. And you're even, believe it or not, going to see some kids that stand maybe a foot off of the rubber, thinking that just because they're on the actual mound that this is how that they should pitch. Make sure you keep an eye out and make sure that you address it right when you get onto the mound with your new players. I'm a big fan of putting my foot down right in front of the rubber, feeling the rubber up against the side of my foot, and coming to a set position. Now, a set position is going to be shoulders facing home plate, ball in the glove, feet maybe a little shorter than shoulder width apart, and a still position. Make sure that your players understand what a set position is. Make sure they understand how to stand on the mound when they get there, and then we can move forward on the adjustments that we need to make when it comes to being an actual pitcher. If I were to put a number on it, I would say 99.9% of pitchers that are new to pitching get on the mound, and they are so fired up to throw the baseball that they're rushing down the mound. Now, rushing down the mound means when their leg is coming up, their front leg, their body is starting to go down the mound before they get that leg all the way up. A couple drills that we like to do here at Zone to make sure that we have a good balance over the rubber is coming set, bringing our knee all the way up, and holding it in that position. Now, you're going to see that a lot of kids struggle with this. They're going to be rushing down the mound. They're going to be trying to balance themselves. You'll see their hands separating from their glove, trying to hold their balance. Those are all things that you want to look out for and immediately put a stop to. Something that you can do with a really young kid that maybe doesn't have the leg strength in their back leg, do it on a fence or stand behind them, hold their hand up here, and help them get to that balance position so that they can feel it. Once they get to that balance position, slowly putting the ball in our glove, we're going to go and pitch right from there, making sure that we drive off of that back leg and making sure that we explode to our target. Some advanced pitchers that may have an easier job, balancing right here, we're going to come to our balance position and we can start making it a little bit more difficult for them. We can start talking about tapping behind the mound. We can start talking about getting their foot going and keeping their balance over the rubber to make sure that they're in a nice balanced position before they start firing the ball home. Again, depending on the age, it's going to be easier for some kids. It's going to be more difficult for other kids. If you have a team full of 7, 8, 9 pitchers and you have 3 really good pitchers, throw them in the mix. They're going to benefit from this drill as well as the players who have never pitched before. The next topic we're going to talk about is direction down the mound. Now, just like what we talked about in the infield about making sure that we line up ourselves with our target, it doesn't change on the mound. Younger players are going to have a tendency of wanting to go down the mound and doing what I call stepping in the bucket, but for a pitcher. a lot of players are going to not have the best balance over the rubber. They're going to come up and they're going to start to fall to the right going down the mound. We have a red ball set up right in the middle of the mound. This is my checkpoint. This is in line with home plate and where I'm trying to throw the baseball. When you get the kid over the rubber and you're talking to him about his balance, which we just went over, once they get to that balanced position, it's very important to talk to them about what part of their body is directing them towards home. So ask them the question. They might know, they might have a crazy idea, but at least you can pick their brain a little bit to see exactly what's going through their mind. A lot of kids are going to say, my glove. A lot of kids are going to say, my head. A lot of guys are going to say, my foot. All of those answers, not 100% correct. The correct answer is this front hip right here. So if I were to come up and I were to come in my set position, looking at home plate, once I get to my balanced position, this front hip right here is going to lead me where I'm going to end up standing or stepping. So I come here. If I were to start to open up that hip going down the mound, my land foot is going to be open. Therefore, all of my energy is going that way. I would say to the lefty batter's box, but it's more like the first base dugout. If I were to come up and this hip were to start taking me to the right, same deal. It's going to take me across my body, and I'm not taking all of my energy to where I'm trying to throw. So it's no different than fielding a ground ball and taking all of your energy to the left and trying to make a throw to the right. You're not going to have as much behind it, and it's going to be a lot harder to command the baseball. So get that player to their balanced position. It might take a few times. They get here. From here, we're going to talk about separating the hands, and we're going to talk about driving that front hip towards the target. Boom. Once they land, take a look at the target that you set up on the mound in front of them. You can keep it off the mound. You can put it right on the mound. We're using a red ball. You can use a cone. You can draw a line in the dirt. You can put a piece of garbage that you found on the field. Anything that you can use to reference where they're striding. Now, the reason we want to stride right towards home plate is because when we land, we are in the perfect position to then go and fire our hips, fire our glove, and let our backside push off of the rubber and stay through the target. When we get into other positions, like leaking down the mound to the left, I no longer can fire my hips and my glove the same exact way, and I'm going to be leaving my arm way out here. Especially for younger kids who don't have the most strength because they're so little, it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to throw the ball and get it all the way to home and be consistent in the strike zone. We get a lot of questions on what should the perfect arm action look like? And the answer is there really is no perfect arm action. You're going to see a lot of guys that are very over the top when they throw. You're going to see some guys that are 3/4. You're going to see some guys that are low 3/4. Ultimately, you want it to feel comfortable for that person that's throwing the baseball. So if somebody's throwing the baseball up here and they feel very uncomfortable, this is still considered over the top. As long as your elbow is above your shoulder when you're starting to throw that baseball, that's considered over the top. Now, I'm very big on making sure that we have a strong glove side. And I think the glove side is really what controls our arm action in the back. So what we're going to do right here is we're going to take our glove, we're going to throw it down, and we're going to grab a weight. This is a 3-pound weight. I use this weight with 9-year-olds. I use this weight with 14-year-olds. And then guys that are older, we use the 5-pound weight in the back. All right? The purpose of this is having a pretty good idea on what your glove side is doing. So your glove side is really going to mirror what your arm does. We have glove side over here, we have arm side over here. I'm a righty. So what I'm going to do, I can start on the mound or I can start flat ground, and I'm going to come set. Now when I go ahead and start working down the mound, I'm going to think about getting my glove side up. And what that means is I want my forearm, the outside of my forearm, facing home plate. That's going to put my glove or the weight in a strong position right in front of my body. Now notice I have almost a 90-degree angle here with my glove side, and I have almost a 90-degree angle here with my arm. So from here, as my glove side starts to work, my arm side is also going to start to work. Now the reason we're talking about glove side is because a kid who doesn't have a strong glove side, and they might get here and drop their glove down here by their side, it is really going to be a lot more difficult for them to have this 90 degrees with their throwing arm and then have another 90 degrees with their throwing arm. So it all starts with this front arm right here. You can mess with it a little bit. Again, pay attention to being nice and compact with your glove side and your arm side. An analogy that I like to use is that you're in a phone booth. So when you're in a phone booth, you have walls on all sides of you. You get here, if my glove side comes flying out here, I'm going to be breaking that wall. All the windows are going to be on the ground, and my arm is going to end up being way behind my back. This is not a very strong position when it comes to throwing a baseball. If I keep my body compact and my glove side compact to my body, I come here, I start to separate. I want to separate right over the rubber before I start going down the mound. I come up, I separate, I have the 90 degrees with my glove side, I have the 90 degrees with my arm side. Now as this glove starts to fire, making sure that we have good direction down the mound that we spoke on before, I'm able to rip this glove into my armpit, allowing my arm to come here, elbow being above my shoulder, and ultimately being able to fire straight through the target. So challenge your players. Again, if they're a younger player, get them a lighter weight. It doesn't even have to be a weight. It can be a can of soup, whatever you have at the house that has a little bit of weight to it. After they master this and their arm action is looking like it's cleaning up, we're going to put the weight down. They're going to pick their glove up. They're going to see that it's way lighter of a glove than it was before. They're going to come set, and they're going to have a lot more control of what that glove is doing when they separate over the rubber. All right, guys, we're going to talk about bullpens at practice. How many pitches to throw, what pitches to throw, and how to incorporate all of those pitchers in at practice when you have a ton of pitchers that need to throw bullpens. So first off, I'm huge on throwing flat grounds at the end of your throwing program. So what a flat ground is a bullpen where you're not on the mound. So when you have a throwing partner and you're coming in from your throwing program and you're playing catch in the beginning of practice, have that partner squat down for 7 or 8 pitches, work on your 4-seam and 2-seam that we went over. Once that player's done throwing their flat ground, he then squats down and his partner throws him a flat ground. This is going to be able to speed up your practices a lot faster. That way, when you do need to throw bullpens, the kids aren't warming up for 15 pitches before they actually put their foot on the rubber. All right, so when we get into the bullpens, how can we set it up? How can we have 10 pitchers all throw bullpens at practice without getting backed up? So the best answer is staggering those bullpens. So letting that player know, hey, you're pitching first today in the bullpens, make sure you're ready by 7:15. Hey, Johnny, you're pitching last, which means you really don't need to be hot and ready to go until 8 o'clock. If you send all of those pitchers over there at once, what's going to happen is everybody's going to be sitting there, one kid's going to be throwing a bullpen, and 9 players are going to be getting 0 work whatsoever. When they get into their bullpens, having a plan is so crucial. A lot of kids like to throw 15 pitches, 20 pitches during their bullpen, and they end up throwing those pitches and not remembering one of them because they rushed through it. So having a plan and understanding what pitches to throw, how many pitches to throw, and where to throw them on the plate. I like to start off with 4-seam fastball. I think that commanding the strike zone is rule number 1. If you can't command the strike zone, you're not going to be able to command it with your 2-seam or your changeup, and especially not your curveball if you're an older kid that throws a curveball. Going into the bullpens, have your catcher set up in the middle of the plate. Now you have some catchers that are here, some catchers that like to go down on one knee. Doesn't matter. Right in the middle of the plate, letting them know 4-seam fastball. I also like to start from the stretch. The reason I like to start from the stretch is because we can establish our balance over the rubber. The stretch is a lot simpler of a mechanic on the mound than the windup is. Always start from the stretch, always start with 4-seam fastball. Now, older guys that are throwing bullpens, 4-seam fastball, middle, or you want to work glove side. So I'm a righty, so my glove side would be on the outside corner to a righty, which would be right here. That's where I want to work my 4-seam fastball. I want to try to throw 3 to 4 of them, establishing the strike zone before I move on to my next pitch. My next pitch is going to be a 2-seam fastball. 2-seam fastball as a righty, I want to throw it to my arm side. Arm side would be inside to a righty. So some guys have a 2-seam that moves a lot, some guys have a 2-seam that moves a little bit. Have your catcher start off splitting the corner and the middle of the plate, right here.
pay attention when that player is throwing their bullpen. If it's moving a lot, have your catcher move a little bit. If it's not moving too much, have your catcher set up right on the edge. Once they throw 3 to 4 two-seams, let's work our changeup in. So changeup, same deal as the two-seam, we want to throw it arm side or middle low. So arm side again would be inside to a righty. I want to throw that pitch just as aggressive as I throw my four-seam and two-seam, and I want to let it die off right as it's getting to home plate. After throwing 3 or 4 of those, we've gotten to about 12 pitches. If you have 10 pitchers and you can't go 20 to 25 pitches per bullpen per kid just because you don't have enough time, work one hitter in. Give them a little competition, give them a little bit of a challenge where you're saying a righty's up or a lefty's up, and let your catcher call the pitches, right? Let your catcher call the pitches. If he looks like he's just throwing down random signs just to get the hitter out, go talk to your catcher. It's a learning experience for both your pitcher and your catcher. Younger guys, maybe you have an 8U kid or a 9U kid that's pitching for the first time. You don't need to get too fancy with where you're throwing your pitches. I like to set up middle with all of my 10U guys. I set up middle, and you'll realize that their two-seam is going to move to the corner, or their four-seam is going to have a little bit of movement on it. Their changeup is going to be middle, but we're going to work on keeping it low. These are all tips that you guys can pay attention to at practice to make sure that we have enough time to throw bullpens, and also make sure that those bullpens that are being thrown are quality bullpens and the pitchers and catchers are learning something from them.
So we've had a ton of questions come in on how can my kid get ready for the game? What is the best pregame routine for that kid to follow so that when he does get on the mound or he gets in the field, he's ready to go and his arm's feeling good? And the question, or the answer is, it can be a couple different things. It can be, if they're younger, you want to make sure that you get a full dynamic and a full static stretch in. When you have 12 or 13 10-year-olds or 9-year-olds or 11-year-olds and you tell them to go get loose, they're not going to get loose. They're going to go down there. They're going to be talking about the video games that they played before they got here. They're going to be wondering what position they're playing. They're not going to have a lot of focus on getting their body warm. So make sure you go down the left field line or the right field line. Make sure you're right on top of them, paying attention, and we get our dynamic in. What a dynamic stretch is butt kicks, high knees, jogs back and forth, shuffles, taking leads and pretending to steal, making sure that we get their whole lower body activated before they start to play. After our dynamic is done, what we like to do is we like to do a static stretch. Now, a static stretch can be anything from arm circles forward, arm circles behind, hugs, reaching the arm across, reaching the arm above, stretching out the forearms. The idea of this is you want to get these muscles activated before they start throwing a baseball. We don't want these muscles to start getting activated as they start throwing a baseball. Safety is number one. We want to make sure that our body is completely loose before we start throwing a baseball or swinging a baseball bat. Older guys have a little bit better idea of a routine. And when I say older guys, I'm talking ages 13, 14 and up. Routines such as doing their band exercises, which we have a whole layout of on Dominate the Diamond, doing their body blade, doing their shoulder weights, making sure that they stick to their same routine that they do every time that they get to a field. Younger guys, we don't need to focus on that as much, just because as you do those movements, you have to make sure that you're really doing them correctly to get everything out of them. Older guys that can understand it a little bit easier, you can start introducing these things to them and they can start incorporating it into their everyday routine. As long as I can remember, pitchers have always struggled to get incorporated into practices. Sometimes you have pitcher onlys, sometimes you have pitchers that play other positions, sometimes you have kids that want to pitch but have never pitched before. These are some great tips and tricks on how to get that pitcher involved during practice so that they're ready for when the game comes. Number one, making sure that when you do infield, outfield, you get a pitcher on the mound. The reason being, how many ground balls get hit back to the pitcher during a game? How many times does the pitcher have to go over to first base? How many times does the pitcher have to go back up a base? Being able to kind of replicate those game-like situations so that you can see if Johnny on the mound is doing what he's supposed to. And also, while you have those pitchers that are also shortstops, that shortstop over there is paying attention to what he's doing so that when that guy gets on the mound, he's learning from this guy's mistakes, or he's learning from this guy when he was doing it correctly. Things that you can do for infield, outfield, a lot of ground balls to the right side.
teaching your pitcher on the mound that anytime the ball is hit to the right side, we need to start sprinting over to first base. A lot of times, the first baseman's going to be there already, but the pitcher's still getting work in on making it a habit of running over to first base every time the ball gets hit to the right. Other things like mixing in ground balls back to the pitcher, where they're making the routine throw over to first base. Because I know as a pitcher, you're locked into one speed on the mound. When you're throwing the ball as hard as you can or close to as hard as you can, and you get a weak ground ball back to you, sometimes it's difficult to throttle down and make a throw over to first base. What you're going to see a lot of is those kids are going to be fielding the ground ball, and they're going to be gearing up to throw it to first base. The first thing your first baseman's going to do is he's going to flinch because he doesn't want that ball whipped at him. So working on having a smoother arm action as a fielder, because you're no longer a pitcher once you field the ground ball. You are now a fielder. After that, simulating some runners, guy on first base, hit the pitcher some ground balls, and have them work on their double play feeds to second base. Okay? There's so many different things that you can have that pitcher involved in. Talking about bunt plays, mixing in some bunt plays, not only are you making sure that the pitcher is doing what he's supposed to, but you're also making sure that your fielders are going to the correct bag so that if that pitcher makes a throw, he's going to make the right throw and he's going to throw it to the right person. Lastly, backing up bases, right? I know as well as anybody, when you give up a double in the gap, sometimes you just want to stand on the mound and wait for the play to be over. But there's still a job for the pitcher. Make sure that you're sprinting and you know what bag to back up. If there's a guy on second base, we need to be splitting third and home, turning our head around, and anticipating where that throw is going to be so that we can cover which bag we need to cover. Lastly, guys ask me, hey, my kid throws great bullpens, he can throw strikes all day long, but he gets into a game and he struggles. His velocity goes way down, his command goes way down, and he just is out there on an island by himself, not being able to figure it out. Mix in some live ABs. So you can get a hitter in there, you can have fielders behind you, you can have a pitcher on the mound, and you can work on throwing that bullpen, but now to a hitter. Not only is the pitcher going to get work because he's facing hitters, but the hitter's going to get work because he's now facing live, and the fielders are also going to get some game-like situations.
Running out of the batter's box hard. We're going to talk about how to get down the line. We're going to talk about how to run through first base correctly. We're going to talk about how to take a hard turn, maybe turn a single into a double. So first things first, you're at practice, you can create a base running station. You can have the guys get into a line, simulate taking a swing, and they start running down the line. The first thing we want to focus on is any ground ball in the infield, we want to peek about 3 steps down the line. The reason we peek, we don't want to just run and put our head down and not see where the ball is. Because if your shortstop makes an error or the ball goes through the hole, we don't want to sprint straight through the bag. So we want to make sure 3-4 steps down the line, we take a swing, or 3 steps down the line, we take a peek to find the ball, and then we continue down. So again, make sure 3 steps in, they're finding the baseball out on the field instead of just running with their head down, assuming that the shortstop made the play, but the ball's really in left field and your guys go straight through the bag. So we'll walk down here towards first base. Come on, Quinn. Let's assume that it's just a routine ground ball in the infield. Ball's fielded cleanly. Our job is to sprint through first base. A lot of the younger players tend to stop on the bag. They'll slow down before they get there. So we want to make sure we accelerate through the bag and we sprint straight through. A lot of young players, you'll see when they get to first base, some of them miss the bag, some of them step short, and a lot of the players step directly in the middle of the base. Our quickest way to the bag is to touch the front part of the bag, and it doesn't matter which foot you use. We want to get there as fast as we can, and we want to touch the front part of the bag and accelerate through. As we get through, we can widen out our base a little bit, help us slow down, and give a peek over our right shoulder to find the ball in case of an overthrow. So again, we're sprinting straight through, we're breaking down, and we're looking over to our right to pick up the ball on an overthrow. You want to demonstrate one, Quinn? You can just go from halfway down, but make sure we touch the front part of the base, accelerate straight through. Go ahead. Front part, and he's going to break down and look over his right shoulder to see where the ball is. Okay? The next step on a ball that's hit to the outfield is we teach our base runners to run and put pressure on the defense. So we want to make a hard turn. We see a lot of big leaguers, they get to first base, they kind of give one of these, they start taking off their elbow guards, and they just come right back to the bag. We want to teach our players to take a hard turn around the bag and really put pressure on the defense. So, doing this, Duke, can you just hand me a couple cones? Doing this, we want to make sure we don't just run directly to the base and make a hard left. Okay, we want to, thank you, we want to create a little bit of an angle. So you can use cones, kind of create like a little banana turn here, so your players understand your more athletic guys don't have to turn as much. Your less athletic, slower guys, we're going to want them to get a little bit wider. But our goal is to get in a direct line with second base. We don't want to run, you know, too close to the bag and run with our shoulders upright and start drifting towards right field. So I have these cones set up. Once we get, you know, about where the two lines are drawn, or we get, you know, 10, 15 feet from the bag, we want to peel off to the right. And the goal here is to tuck our left shoulder, which is going to help us get in line with second base quicker. If I run upright, I'm going to drift towards right field. I want to tuck my left shoulder and hit the very inside corner of the bag. It doesn't matter which foot. Don't slow down to try to touch it with the right. Whichever foot gets there first. We want to tuck our left shoulder and get directly in line with second base as fast as we can. A great way to practice this is have 4 or 5 guys get to home plate. And me as a coach, I'm just going to stand on the edge of the bag like this. So now Quinn's job, you don't have to run all the way up if you want. He's going to work down the line. He's going to work on his little banana turn. And he has to touch the inside corner of the base, tucking the left shoulder without stepping on my feet. Now, a lot of questions we get is, well, how far do you want to go? How far past the bag do you want to go on a hard turn? And I always say, depending on how far the ball is, that's how far off we want to go. So if it's a base hit to right field, I probably don't want to go as far. A base hit to center field, I'm going to go a little bit further. And a base hit to left field, I'm going to go even further. So what we can do is use cones again. I actually got some extra cones here to show them how far past the bag they want to get. So let's say on a base hit to right field, they want to get to here. On a base hit to center field, they want to get to here. And on a base hit to left, they want to get to there. So Quinn, just go about halfway down the line. So what he's going to do, say it's a routine base hit to right field. He's going to get to this cone, stop his feet with the right foot forward, straight back to the bag. Go ahead. Inside corner, perfect, and then straight back. On a base hit to center field, we can make a little bit wider of a turn. Again, trying to put pressure on that defense. If there's a bobble, we're taking second base right away. Go ahead. Hard turn, get out there, perfect, right foot back. And again, set up in a nice athletic position here so that if you see the bobble, you can take off right away. And then the last one, base hit to left, we want to get a little bit further. Inside corner, perfect, and then straight back. Let's talk about sliding first. Let's do a little sliding. Duke, you want to demonstrate the proper figure 4? We can all do it, all 3 of us.
Sure. So what we always talk about is we talk about the letter 4, and it's so easy for the kids to kind of understand this and get a visual of it. So what we talk about is I talk about it in the beginning of just like standing up and taking my right foot and going behind my left foot. So my right foot's actually almost flipping the back of my knee like this. So it doesn't matter whether you do it with the left or you do it with the right. It doesn't really matter. So we get the kids on the ground and we talk about what that position is. So we're getting the same number 4. And when we do this, we want to take our left foot, if we're going right under, and we're lifting up our left heel so we're up in the air. Our left heel's up. We're going to lean slightly back. Our elbows are in, and our hands. You see a lot of guys in the big leagues now, they're wearing the mitts on their hands. Why? Because you can break your fingers. A lot of the little guys and gals, when they go on the grounds, they'll either tip over to the right, they'll tip over to the left, their elbows drag on the ground, their hands drag on the ground. So we always say the easiest thing to visualize is grabbing sand and holding it in your hands. You want to hold your hands like this. You don't want them to be flexed and to be on the ground like this. So again, I'm in the figure 4, my heel's up, my elbows are tucked, I'm slightly leaning back, and my hands are in this position. So I'm going to slide into the base just like this, and the lower I get, the harder it is for them to tag me out. Again, we don't really care if you go left or right, it doesn't matter. But that's a great way to get them to understand that. You can also have them stand up. You can have them take 2 steps, hold your hands out, and then they actually grab your hands and just slide a little bit on the grass. That's another easy way, because a lot of times when you're talking about sliding, kids are afraid to slide because they don't know how to. So we have to make sure that as coaches, we can teach them how to slide, because anytime there's a play at the base and a player doesn't slide, the umpire can call them out at the younger levels. So we got to make sure that we teach
Remember
it.
why we slide too. We slide for 2 reasons. 1, so we're able to stop right on the bag and still go full speed. And 2, to avoid a tag. So there's no reason to slow down before we slide. A lot of players will kind of hesitate, they'll slow down, and then they'll try to slide. The main reason why we slide is to avoid a tag, and so that we're able to go full speed all the way there and then stop at the last second. So make sure you just reinforce going full speed until the last second, and then making sure we stay low to the ground to avoid the tag. I'm gonna go through where to stand in the batter's box, the proper stance, the proper load, timing, getting through the ball. I'm gonna show you guys a couple of my favorite drills, but I want you guys to reach out with your questions, so please don't hesitate to ask. First thing we're gonna talk about, where to stand in the batter's box. You'll see a lot of young players, they stand way in the back because they're afraid. I mean, I've seen guys stand as close to this. So if you've got a group of hitters that have never played the game before, just real easy, okay? We usually wanna lay our bat down so that the end of our bat crosses home plate just a little bit. That's how close we wanna stand to home plate, okay? How wide do we wanna stand? An easy way, I always say nice and athletic position, kind of the same position you'd be in if you're fielding a ground ball, but you could just put the bat down in between their feet, and that's kind of how wide they wanna be, right? There's no right or wrong. You're gonna see a lot of guys with closed stances, open stances, guys with leg kicks. If guys can hit, let them hit. All right, this is for your basic players that have not really played the game much before. So nice athletic position, about a bat's length from home plate, nice and athletic. You wanna be able to jump from that position. Okay, now, when we talk about the grip and holding the bat, a lot of players like to grip the bat really tight. Okay, their elbows are up, they're tight, they're tense. An easy way to teach them, take your pointer fingers, and when you point them, they should be close to pointing right at the sky or right at the ceiling. If they're crossed a little bit, that's okay, but we definitely don't want to be in this position. You don't want to be too tight. So pointers right towards the sky. So we'll just rewind. About a bat length from home plate, nice athletic position. Take that bat, kind of put it on your right shoulder, and your pointer fingers should be somewhat towards the sky. If they're crossed a little bit, that's okay. And now we just want to lift the bat up somewhere behind our right ear, okay? My fingers are crossed a little bit, that's just more comfortable for me, just make sure they're not here. All right, now, from here, I talk about the load a lot because the load is more important than the swing most of the time. You can have the best swing in the world, but if you're not on time, it doesn't matter, okay? So what the load is it's our timing as that pitcher is getting ready to throw the ball to home plate and what we do as that guy is throwing the ball. A lot of players you'll see, they'll stand like statues. They'll wait till the last possible second, and then they'll do one of these, and they'll drop their hands. They react to the pitcher instead of getting loaded. So an easy one that I like to do is I'll take a band. I'll take the J bands that the pitchers warm up with, and I'll say, you wanna pretend that you have a rubber band between your hands and your front foot, so that when you stride, when you get loaded, we wanna try to stretch that rubber band out. Okay, and all the load is it's you getting your hands back as your foot goes forward. So you could have a leg kick, you can have a toe tap, you can kind of just lift your front heel up and down, but there has to be some sort of a stretch going backwards before we go forward. All right, so just quick review, bat's length from home plate, nice athletic position, about bat's length wide, feet-wise, pointer somewhat towards the sky, bat right behind the right ear. Now, when that pitcher is getting ready to deliver the pitch, we want to load nice and smooth. So you can think that rubber band, you can tell your players, think like you're shooting a bow and arrow, whatever they have to do to make sure when that pitcher delivers the pitch, when our front foot hits the ground, the knob of our bat is right at the catcher. That's the strongest spot to be. A lot of players you'll see, they'll drop their hands, they'll wrap that bat way around their head. Easy way, when their front foot hits the ground, the knob should be right at the catcher. 7 baseballs make up home plate, okay? Going all the way across. So what I'll do is I'll take the player. You got one more? I'll start with 6. Thank you, perfect. So 7 baseballs make up home plate. What I'll do is I'll take the player wherever they stand and I'll have them practice their load. So if this is where they feel strongest, I make a straight line from their front foot to the middle of home plate. That's where we want to make contact, right down the middle, just a little bit in front of our front foot. Then I'll take a straight line from their front knee straight across to the outside corner. That's where we want to make contact with the outside corner. And then I just fill in the line here. So for 7 different pitches, this is where we should be making contact and really taking the same swing. And again, it all depends on where their front foot lands. So if I land here, that's where I want to make contact middle. You notice I get to contact, my back elbow is tucked, I'm strong here, front arm is slightly bent, and it's gonna be the same swing working all the way across. So ball number 7, all the way outside, same swing. Ball number 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. It's the same swing. So if you use a visual sometimes on the ground like this to show them where they want to make contact, that'll help. A lot of it's timing too. So I'll tell my players, you know, we want to think middle of the field. We want to think opposite field or right center field, and that'll help them stay back a little bit longer too. A lot of guys are just in a rush to go out and make contact. Yeah, I mean, one other thing that I see a lot is guys rolling over. Players tend to get to the ball and they work straight across their body. So a couple drills I love to do. Quinn, you want to be my demo guy? Grab your bat. So Quinn's a lefty, so you guys might just have to slide on this side. Just in slow motion, get to me. A lot of times I'll see players, they'll get to contact and then they work directly across their body. So for Quinn being a lefty, I would tell him, you know, we got to think dead center, think middle of the field, but we also got to focus on, once we get there, this top hand, this palm, we're in a palm up, palm down position. So just open up your hands for me right where they're at. So top hand's facing the sky, bottom hand's facing the ground. We want to think palm up, palm down. You can hold the bat now. As long as we can before we finish the swing. So you can do drills where you have your guys actually freeze at extension. You can have drills where they'll actually take swings and they'll take the one hand off the bat and finish with their top hand pointed straight ahead, but focus on hitting through the ball and not just spinning and rolling over. Perfect, so you guys can see here, the pitch is always gonna be coming down on a downward angle, okay? So what we try to teach our hitters is we want our bat to match the plane of the pitch as long as we can. You'll see a lot of hitters when they start to swing, they chop straight down and straight up, or their bat drops straight down and they swing back up. But if this is the ball, right, and the ball's coming in on this angle, we wanna try in slow motion, go ahead, turn the back foot. We wanna try to stay on plane with the pitch as long as we possibly can. We don't wanna chop in and out of the zone. This is giving you the most room for error. It's gonna keep your bat in the zone longer, and now if you're a little bit late or a little bit early, it doesn't matter. You're still gonna barrel it up. So again, in slow motion, get through it, through, and we wanna try to stay on plane. Another great visual, you can use a pool noodle, a PVC pipe like this, but keep your bat through the zone as long as you possibly can. And then a side toss station. The tee is very, very overlooked. A lot of guys don't like using the tee. We love it. We use it at the start of all of our lessons. We use it before games. You've got to be able to hit off the tee to be able to hit in the game. So one thing I always do is when I put the ball on the tee, I'll take these two seams, kind of like they're railroad tracks, and I'll put it facing the hitter. The reason I do this is so that the hitter always thinks to hit the inside seam. Okay, most guys will get out and around the ball, they'll chop, but putting the ball on the tee like this with the two seams gives them the visual of hitting the inside half of the ball. We always want to stay tight and compact. So railroad tracks, practice your load for me real quick. So Quinn would normally land right there. So I'm gonna put the tee working right down the middle, just in front of his front foot. He's gonna take some swings here. Good. So again, I'm putting that ball on the railroad tracks. He's thinking about driving through that inside seam and really focusing on getting through it. We're gonna do a couple swings here. I want you to freeze at extension. So slow motion, get to me. Now I want you to try to freeze in that position if you can. All right, this is a great one to focus on your guys getting through the ball. Perfect, freezing right at extension. He's fighting it a little bit. He's trying to work across his body, but we're trying to stay through it as long as possible. We're gonna do 2 more off the tee. Good, 1 more. Awesome. Another great drill I like to do for your guys that struggle getting into their legs. They might stand tall or they might, not really use their lower half. I just call it the step back drill. So Quinn's gonna start with both feet together. Same thing, ball set up like the railroad tracks. He's gonna take a big step backwards and then take a full swing. You can actually lift your front foot off the ground when you do it. Big hop and then let it fly. Perfect. So big hop back. And it kind of gets them the feeling of getting in that back hip, staying over their back leg a little bit longer and not lunging or jumping forward. Next drill, we're gonna do side toss. This is one that's used a lot, and it's important that we do it correctly. The reason I say that, me as a coach, when I'm doing side toss with Quinn, I don't wanna just grab the ball and toss it at him. because I'm trying to teach my hitter to have some rhythm and have some, some looseness in his swing. So if I just start like this and I toss the ball right at him, he can't get loaded correctly. He gets jumpy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show him the ball. When I go down, he's gonna get loaded back, and then he's gonna swing. So again, it's kind of simulating the same thing. When the pitcher's getting his arm ready to throw, I'm gonna show him the ball, soft on the way down, and then go forward. So he's focused on when I go down, he goes back and gets loaded, and he's taking a good aggressive swing. When we're tossing this ball, try to aim for his front hip pocket. Don't toss the ball too deep or you're gonna end up wearing one right in the teeth. Or we wanna toss the ball right towards his front pocket, and it's gonna give him an idea of where he wants to be making contact. It's a great one. You can create stations at practice and actually use wiffle balls. Use like the mini smush balls or squish balls and have players do this to each other, but make sure they're doing it correctly. It seems stupid, but if you got a kid that's just tossing the ball all over the place, nobody's getting better. Show them the ball, slow on the way back, front hip, and now guys are getting reps. So a lot of times you guys will get to the cage before the game, or you might not even have a batting cage. Get some of these smush balls, get a net like this, and create stations before the game. Get your guys as many swings as possible. You don't want just a line of 11 kids waiting to hit in the cage while you got one guy throwing batting practice. So he has no idea what pitch I'm gonna throw at him. Blue, he's swinging, and red, he's taking. Ready? Good, he knows to take it. And blue, he's swinging, awesome. So again, have your players line up. He doesn't know which one's coming. Blue, he's swinging, very good. Good, and red, he's taking. Again, getting your players to understand the concept of what's a ball and what's a strike. We use these all the time, all right? These are safe. Your guys can do soft toss to each other. You don't have to worry about guys getting hurt, and it's a great drill to kind of get your guys focused before the game. Next drill here, we'll just have a T station, so you're gonna stand on this side, and we're gonna hit in the same direction you were just hitting. Oh, you're a lefty, my bad. So same thing, you can have one guy feeding the T, and Quinn is just working on whatever drill we were just practicing over there. So let's say we're gonna do some freezing at extension this time. Again, using smush balls so guys don't get hurt. And now we'll do some step backs. Awesome, 2 more. Last one. Good. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is gonna be over here. So what he's doing is we're still working off the tee, or you can just have him take dry swings, but he's actually timing up that coach that's throwing batting practice. So Coach Duke, if you wanna, I'll stand in and pretend to be the batter. You can pretend like you're doing front toss. So Quinn's behind me and all he's doing is shadowing. So I'm gonna pretend like I'm hitting. Coach Duke's doing front toss, and when that ball crosses home plate, he's actually gonna swing. So you can hit it off the tee, all right? Practicing my load. So now you've got 1, 2 on side toss, 2 guys. 2 guys on tee, and the 5th guy here. So you have 6 guys in the batting cage instead of just 1 guy hitting and 11 guys standing in a line. There's no right or wrong way to do it, but create stations. You can have stations set up outside the cages. The key here is to really just keep the kids moving. That's where baseball and softball become boring when one guy's working and the rest of the guys are watching. Coach Duke, you want to talk about front toss and the importance of front toss maybe instead of just backing up and throwing batting practice?
Sure, the importance of front toss. One of the reasons why we front toss is so that it's a little bit easier. If you have a bad arm and you can't throw strikes, or you're having a difficult time with it, taking an L screen, setting it up and just working on the timing of front tossing the ball makes it so much easier. The kids are still working on timing, they're still working on their swing, and it's much easier to throw strikes. Now, some people say, well, it's not realistic. You're throwing it so slow when you go underhand, but if you think about it, when the screen is only 20 feet from you, you only need to throw it 20 miles an hour to really simplify, to almost make it what a real pitch actually is. So you don't have to front toss it 80 miles an hour because you're only 15 or 20 feet away. So you can soften it up, you can go a little faster, you can challenge them with it, but it's a good way by using front toss to throw strikes. If you can't throw strikes, one other thing I was thinking about while Steve was doing that was, I'm gonna take another one of these tees. We can put a ball on the tee. Coach Steve's gonna pretend like he's hitting. We're gonna pretend that he has a bat. Quinn's going to put a ball in the tee, and he's going to go. And I'm going to front toss, but since I can't throw strikes, if I'm a coach that can't throw strikes, watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go behind the screen. I'm just going to front toss right into the L screen, and these guys are still both going to swing using the timing. Coach Steve's going to whack the ball off the tee. Quinn's going to whack the ball off the tee. So if you're afraid to throw or you're afraid to front toss, that's an easy way to get two guys hitting when you're afraid to toss the ball. So I think that's a good drill for someone that's kind of a little nervous to pitch.
It's a lot easier too, even if you want to throw batting practice, to sit on a bucket from 10 feet away and actually throw overhand. It's a lot easier to throw strikes. You don't have to go to 46 or 60 feet to make it useful. Like he said, 25 feet away, throwing 30 miles an hour is just as important or just as beneficial as somebody standing in the back of the batting cage trying to throw BP from 50 or 60 feet.
So what we're going to do here is we're just going to use smush balls. We love using these things because, they don't hurt. You can get hit by them. Nothing happens. No big deal. So we're actually going to set up 3 home plates. I got a bucket of these babies, and all I'm going to do is pitch one at a time. I'm going to go down the line. If they swing and miss, you can throw it again or not. So we have 3 hitters here. We can have 3 people in the field, and we can actually play games against each other as well. Who hits the most line drives? So they're fielding the balls. They don't go that far. They're actually getting hitting in, and then we rotate and switch. So we have 6 guys. We can go 2 off the tee, 2 off the softy balls, and we get a whole entire team of 10 hitting in rapid fire just like this. So this is a good way to get them to see the ball, hit the ball. We can throw curveballs with them. We can mix up changeups. We can throw fastballs. It's going to look just like this. Here we go. We got a pro player, we got a little leaguer, and we got an NCAA player. So we're going to see what happens here. Let's get after it a little bit. It's kind of interesting how we have 3 lefties. I think Josh is pretending like he's a lefty, but he's really not, but we'll find out soon. So we got Josh. Oh, wow. We gotta make sure that her, watch it. Oh, yeah, you better be ready. You better be ready. The camera guys better be, ready. Oh! Getting a little slap footwork in. So, oh, wow. These guys are not messing around. They are not messing around. We're going from, wow. This is like Derby. This is like, oh, man. Oh, wow. Oh, there it goes. Don't try this at home. Watch out, camera people. Here we go. Having some fun. Oh! And when they swing and they miss, they get to redeem themselves with the next one. Boom. So that's a great way to mix in some smush balls when we're working on our hitting stations. So what do you got next, Coach Steve?
That's pretty good. I think the key is stations regardless of what you're doing. We talked about it in the very beginning. Create stations around the field and keep the kids moving. Duke talked about it in the very beginning about not having enough stations and having too much standing around and kids quitting the game because you want to talk about how long the ball is actually in flight in a baseball game?
The ball is actually in flight for 8 minutes. So the average game's an hour and a half long, 112 pitches each side, but the ball's actually in the air for 8 minutes. So when people call it the boring sport, it is boring if you don't know what to do in between those times. The baseball player knows to talk about who's got the ball, who doesn't, where was the last pitch, where's he getting ready, how's he setting up, is he clearing out the dirt, what's going on. All those things are going on in their head before the ball is thrown, the anticipation of the game. So it can definitely be called the boring sport if you do not know how to play it and the ball's in flight for 8 minutes out of an hour and a half. So we have to make sure we're keeping this game fun. Everyone's going. We're going to finish off with one more round to see who hits the ball the furthest with the smush balls. You always want to finish with a competition to see what happens. So here's our competition. Let's go. Our competition's going. Coach Josh, you ready?
Yes.
And we're going to see who hits the ball the furthest. All right? Always got to finish up with a competition. We're going to go overhand. Oh, you got a slapper there. That one's pretty good. Coach Josh. Oh, see, sometimes you got to mix in a little water balloon home run derby. Let's watch Carissa try this one. Carissa, Yeah, Chris is gonna try it. Come on, Carissa. There we go. So make sure when you're playing the game of baseball or softball, you're always having fun. You're finishing it up with something fun like that. And the guy that wants the ball the most, the water balloon the most, is not gonna get one.